Hi there, I'm Jody, and I'm going to read you a little bit of my book Beach from chapter 18. I apologise in advance for these accents. I'm going to give it a good shot, and I hope that you enjoy and have a good giggle. Heat sizzled up off the sand in waves, sending most scattering to shady spaces. The bar was packed, buzzing with disgruntled customers 3 deep, as Mabel read out a list of ingredients for a roll in the sand, and tried to figure out what island white melon was. Now she could see yellow ones, and there were watermelons, but nothing white. "Where's Jack?" one customer muttered from somewhere in the waiting crowd. "With Harry," she muttered, sweat dribbling off her nose. Was it a melon, or was it like the French, with Brits called it a potato, but they called it an apple of the ground? Was there any white fruit? Now, pears could be a bit on the pale side. Then there were bananas, when peeled, but neither looked anything like a melon. "I want a drink. What's the matter with you?" another customer said with a coarse accent. Mabel stopped and glared at her. "Do you know what island white melon is?" "No," the customer snapped. "Yeah, well, neither do I, so unless you want half a drink, shut up." She waved the drinks menu at her. Okay, she wasn't cut out for bartending. Her hands were sticky with alcohol. She dropped 3 glasses with her sweaty palms. She couldn't throw a silver shaker for toffee, and after she spilled some liquor all over the floor, her trainers were sticking. Yuck. "Hey, I didn't come here to get talked to like that," the customer said, puffing up her bright red chest, fag hanging out one side, ash dropping off as she spoke. "Then remember your manners. It was alcohol. If they were that thirsty, there were fountains everywhere. If they all went to the cafe, maybe she'd be able to brew something other than carbon dioxide." "I want to see Jack," the customer said, a glint in her glassy eyes. "You can't. She's busy." Mabel held her glare. "And who do you think she's going to side with? You or me?" "Mabel got that right," Chief said, leaning against the post next to the bar hatch. "You want a hand?" She stopped, like she was trying not to add, "baby." "Oh yes, please." Mabel held up one watermelon and one yellow melon. "Island white melon?" Chief grinned, a cheeky grin, and took the melons off her. "Although your melons are very nice." She reached down and pulled out a bottle with no label. "You need this." The customer rolled her eyes and then turned to 2 others, trying to ignore her. "Can't even make up a drink." "It's only my second shift," Mabel shot at her, gripping the bottle and throwing in a load of island white melon. "Then you should have been a cleaner," the customer muttered, folding appealing arms with fetching finger wings. Mabel picked up the cocktail glass, and before she could throw it, Chief slid her hand on top. "Unless you want to find Harry knocking at your door, you better treat that lady right." Chief eased to stand beside her and slid a soft hand to the small of Mabel's back. "She don't like her staff getting a rough tongue." Mabel nodded in a daze. There was something sublime about Chief's voice. Maybe it wasn't just her gaze that could stun. It had to be some kind of psychological technique. "You need to hand that drink over now," Chief whispered into her ear. She slid the glass from Mabel's grasp and placed it on the bar. "One roll in the sand." The customer snatched it up and stomped off. "Oh, Builder's bum, nice view." Chief took orders at speed, flicking the bottles about like Jack did. Maybe if she had a roll in the sand, she'd find a funny switch here. The crowd laughed, and tense, impatient expressions turned to awe and attraction. Mabel doubted one of them cared about the delay now. Oh no, they were enjoying the entertainment, and it was easier to think, with Chief helping. Yeah, she could do this. "I can't juggle," Mabel told her customer as she handed over a soft drink. "But I do give umbrellas." She dunked a pink one in, and the customer laughed. "I'll take a pink umbrella," the customer said in a soft southern Irish lilt, and winked. "You make a grand lemonade." Mabel grinned as the customer walked off. At least she'd pleased someone. Chief gave a sideways smile. "Maybe she liked your melons." "Oh no, if I had melons that size," she tapped the bowls of fruit, "I'd have backache." "She's right," Sharon said, striding up and grinning, "and no good when they touch your knees." Chief flashed a charming smile. "I don't see nothing wrong when I look at you." Sharon roared with laughter and bumped customers out of the way. She took up a stool at the bar. "Then you need a different set of glasses." Kay slapped her on the shoulder, plonking down on the stool beside her, and fanned herself at the barman. "Don't knock it, Shah. The woman likes you." "Kay," Jan snapped, poking her head around, and Sharon eased down onto the stool the other side. Kay rolled her eyes, flapping the barman round. "Melons." Jan nodded approval, pulling out her glasses from her pocket and peered down at the drinks menu with pursed lips. She has lovely melons. Who? Chief or Sharon? Mavanwi asked, peeking around Kay's shoulder, and then proceeded to snatch up a menu and snigger at it with two other customers beside her. Chief had an athletic bust. Auntie Julie called athletic busts boobs in a straitjacket, and then complained that no woman over 12 should ever have chest so perky unless they'd had surgery. But Chief didn't look like she'd had surgery. They looked very natural. Was she looking at a bust? Look up! She snatched her gaze up, and Chief was eyeing her, and raised an eyebrow. Cringe. Both, Jan said with a shrug, squinting over her glass at the menu like it would help. I think both of an air set. Sharon stared at her. Is the medication still working? Mabel handed her the regular order as Kay battered Mavanwi with the menu and gave them all flowery umbrellas. No, Jan said, taking a soda water and grinning at the umbrella. I'd asked those two to back me up, but we'd have a marital. Kay nodded, the top of her mullet wobbling, and she flicked her umbrella at Mavanwi. She's not scoping any melons but mine. Mavanwi took her beer and raised it with a grin. And very nice they are too. Jan looked to Mabel, studying her over her glasses. What do you think? Mabel swallowed. Me? Yeah, Jan said, flapping her umbrella about as Sharon stared at her. Chief and Sharon are fine examples of melon growing. Yes? Mabel looked to Sharon. Do not look at other woman's boobs. Look up. Stop looking. She moved her gaze to Chief. Oh, no, stop staring. Then she snapped her eyes up and stared at the wooden slatted ceiling. Safer. Yes, of course. Each woman has her own special set of melons. Then why you look like you drank a whole rum bottle whole? A whole rum bottle, Chief said in an oozing tone and grazed Mabel's cheek with her finger. Keep looking up. Do not make eye contact. The remaining customers forgot all about their orders as Chief reclined back against the bar. And what's wrong with appreciating a lady? Well, she's British, Sharon said, reaching over and patting Mabel's hand. And sweet. Mabel shrugged. Melon discussions are not commonplace. Well, they should be, Sharon said, beaming at her. A woman needs to know her efforts are appreciated. She bumped Jan's shoulder. Jan waved it off, pursed her lips at the menu again and placed it to the side. I'd have told you before, but you'd have smacked me one. She grinned at Mabel. This place seems to relax people. Chief laughed, a husky, gravelled laugh. You got that right. She rolled the word right, like she was from the Caribbean. What a sound. As good as the feeling of biting into a chalk ice. Shivery delight. Mabel swallowed and picked up the bottle. Did she really just think that? She stared back up at the ceiling. Maybe it was the alcohol papers. Know why you rum-coloured again? Chief whispered into her ear as she slid past and took more orders. I need another roll in the sand, Mabel mumbled, holding up her bottle. And I'm melonless. Always sad? Sharon nodded with a sigh. Quiet, Jan added, leaning on her fist. Chief strolled over to stand right in front of Mabel, her gaze locked with Mabel's, riveted her to the spot. Hard to breathe. Chief's eyes twinkled with cheekiness, and she sank down to her haunches. Mabel swallowed and gripped her bottle. Chief's eyes twinkled, then she slid her arm through Mabel's legs, dug around and pulled out a second bottle. Can't let a lady go melonless. Mabel wheezed out of breath, strangling her empty bottle. Chalk ice didn't really get close. Was it normal to shiver? Maybe it was just chilly. Yes, chilly. An 18-degree heat. Hey, new girl, a curt voice called over the buzz. Mabel snapped her gaze from Chief and grabbed onto the bar with a shaking hand as one of the waitress robots slumped over, ripping off her aviators. I don't know why Jack is scraping scraps with you, but if you poach any of my business, I'll go to Harry. Wow, the waitress robots talked, and when they did, it wasn't pleasant. Excuse me? You made 200 seashells in tips, the waitress snapped, her silver hot pants drawing a lot of attention. Most get 50. Mabel raised her eyebrows. Even without hot pants? Laugh all you like. When Jack kicks you out for someone else, you'll be stuck doing the same. The waitress threw her pay packet at her. Take it easy, Chief warned, leaning on the bar, and like she'd pull Mabel behind her. Mabel had no idea that you work the food. I didn't. Mabel shook her head. Be convincing or the scary waitress robot could vault the bar. I didn't. She handed the packet back. I didn't mean to offend you. The waitress looked down at it and shoved it back across the bar. You're crazy. Yes, but that's not the point. I don't want it. It's yours. She slid it back and hoped her smile didn't earn her a punch. I'm just here to enjoy the island. Jack's very hospitable. The waitress studied her, leaning forward and showing a lot of melon. You know how much this is worth? She pushed the packet back again. You can't make this in a month in some places. Well, then I hope it helps. Mabel held up her hand. And I will stop stealing hot dog orders. Is it me, or do you want to adopt her? Sharon said, leaning on her fist. No, I second that, Mumble said. Jans mumbled, twirling her umbrella. Me three, Kay said, holding up hers with a nod. I was thinking that someone really needs to look after her, Mavanwi said, swigging at her beer. Who gives somebody 200 seashells? Kid, the waitress said, staring at her. I ain't sure what coconut cracked your head, but... She smiled. You got a good heart. She glared at Chief. And you just gonna let Jack break it? She tutted and strode off, shoving her aviators on. Mabel's cheek throbbed as Chief studied her, and every customer, still waiting, grinned at her. She held up 2 melons. Clearly she needed more melons, which earned her raucous laughter and a dazzling smile from Chief. So worth it.